If the man exists who does not need introduction to the teachers of Florida, that man is Phil Constans. He has told us of his dream of the great profession of teaching until it has become our dream. He is the son of a teacher, the brother of a teacher, the husband of a teacher who is the daughter of a teacher. It is of Dr. Phil Constans that Dr. Joe Hall has said, a young aggressive leader who is continually keeping abreast of the problems with which we are confronted and lending his time and effort and thought and energy to the solutions of these problems in an effective way. Of him, Harry Burney has said, the most dedicated educator I've had the chance to know, a tremendous humanitarian. And of him, Dick Morgan has said, there is no imagery or mirror tricks where Phil Constans is concerned. He is for the real thing when it comes to equality in educational opportunity and conditions under which professional service is rendered in the public schools. And of Phil Constans, Braulio Alonso says, he knows education, he understands education, he lives education, and he is interested in the profession. And now, at a time that may well be the most crucial time in the history of Florida education, let me present the father of our dream, Phil Constans.
We've heard so much about sanctions, about possible kinds of sanctions, about means of implementation, about possible problems, about the details of sanctions, and this is important. We need to understand these things. We need to understand all of the ramifications, all of the possibilities, all of the eventualities, and insofar as is possible at this juncture, we've done this, and we will need to do a great deal more of this. But now let's talk about the heart of the matter. Let's talk about the bedrock of sanctions, the essential ingredient, the one factor without which all sanctions talk is futile. The prime requisite that must be there if talk of sanctions is not to be a sham, a hoax, a farce. Let's talk about courage. The courage to be what we believe. The courage to stand for what we believe. I know of a man who recently was in a controversy, and as sometimes happens, he discovered that the attacks that should have been directed at him were being made on his children. And one day he said to one of his daughters, "Honey, I'm sorry you kids have to take the beating for what I do." And she said to him, "Don't be. Don't be. We love you because you are our father. We respect you because you stand for what you believe." And then she added this, "Please don't ever be less than what you believe. Please don't ever be less than what you," out of the mouths of babes. "We respect you because you stand for what you believe. Please don't ever be less than what you believe." The courage to be what we believe. This is the essential factor in sanctions. This is the bedrock issue that we have at hand. Well, what do we believe? Where do we stand? We believe teaching is important. Perhaps the most important thing that's taking place in Florida and in this nation. We know that many outside of teaching also profess to hold this belief. And we also know that the record of action over a long period of time would tend to give lie to this profession. We believe Florida, and yes, the nation, has far too long irresponsibly neglected the obligation to its children. We know that Florida has never even approached adequate finance of its school system. We know we have never come even remotely close to quality education. We believe that the people, while giving lip service lip service to their belief in education have never assumed their responsibility for the education of their children. And we know that we have had to assume the bulk of this responsibility year in and year out. And we know that in assuming this responsibility, we have become immediately subject to constant derogatory accusations of selfishness. We know that we've been criticized and intimidated and threatened and ignored and promised and evaded and scorned and pitied and snubbed and put off and overworked and underpaid year in and year out. And we know that we have had enough. We're tired of being ignored, of talking and not being heard, of the never-ending line of self-styled experts to tell us, not listen to us, of the assumption that we should keep our nose out of things that don't concern us, in the belief that nothing should concern us, that we should know our place, of being excluded from decisions that vitally affect us, of arbitrary and capricious decisions based on ignorance and expedience. We're tired of being ignored. We're tired of being undermined, of snide comments, of derogatory remarks that constantly erode the dignity of teaching. I am the child of a teacher, and I know what it means to be a teacher's child. I'm the child of a good teacher, a lawyer who chose to become a teacher because he believed it was important. A good school teacher, my father. And I remember so well as a child hearing the snide and derogatory comment. Those who can do, those who can't teach. And I remember the pain of it as well now as I did the first time I heard it. As I heard every teacher, including my father, tarred with the same brush. We're tired of being undermined. We're tired of broken dreams, of year after year struggling against impossible odds, of empty promises that never come a reality, of a future that never arrives, of a dream that keeps turning into a nightmare, of kids that come into teaching with stars in their eyes and leave with disgust on their face, or stay with frustration in their soul. Stay in a situation where there's never enough of anything, never enough pay to meet the bills, never enough time, never enough materials or equipment or space, never enough help. To stay and sell tickets and collect money and fill in registers and grade papers and run carnivals, and to teach. To stay and work in an authoritarian, paternalistic school system, and to stay rejecting chance after chance to leave because we think what we're doing is important, really important. To stay until the commitment to teaching is so deeply ingrained in our inner being that we can't even effectively communicate it to one another. To stay and subsidize the schools by our effort, and to read in the papers that the self-centered school teachers are again demanding an exorbitant pay raise, again promoting their selfish interests in the name of the school children. To stay and hear patronizing sympathy and condescending pity from those who with smug superiority make such remarks as, "I don't know why you stay in teaching." Or to hear that fatal "oh" when we say, "I am a teacher," as our very soul cries out, "Don't be sorry for me. Respect me. Respect me." We're tired of broken dreams. We're tired of waiting for next year, waiting for the next session, waiting for things that never happen. And we know we've had enough. These are the things that we believe. But do we have the courage to be what we believe? We must. And yet we all know we have many doubts, many uncertainties, many fears. We are afraid. But Mark Twain said it, courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. And each of us has doubts, each concerns, each uncertainties, each fear. You'll recall a scene, I'm sure, from the play by Arthur Laurent, Home of the Brave. In this scene, they're together and they hear from out in the jungle the tortured screams of Finch, who has been captured by the Japanese. And Mingo tries every way he knows to distract Coney's attention from these screams. And finally he quotes a few lines from a poem his wife had written. And frightened we are, every one. Someone must take a stand. Coward, take my coward's hand. And frightened we are, afraid we might make somebody mad, afraid we might alienate the friends of education. The true friends of education don't condition their commitment on what teachers do, any more than we condition our commitment to education on what our friends might do. False friends will threaten to withdraw support. True friends are committed to a cause, to the cause, and not to us. We're afraid we might antagonize somebody. Don't antagonize the legislature. If you do, they won't do what they ought to do. Well, just how much have they done in the past at times when we haven't antagonized them? We're tired of hearing don't threaten, don't antagonize. In the words of Benjamin Franklin, even peace can be purchased at too high a price. It's time someone started saying, don't threaten the teachers. Don't antagonize the teachers. Don't make them mad. We're afraid we might be unprofessional. If a physician knew that a plague existed in a certain locality, and if knowing this he failed to quarantine that locality, failed to say don't go there, he would be unprofessional. His actions would be irresponsible. And if we know that a plague exists in a locality and we fail to quarantine and we fail to say don't go there, we will be unprofessional. We will be irresponsible. We hear so much talk about irresponsible union tactics. Well, the tactics we're talking about are the tactics of Benjamin Franklin and Patrick Henry and Thomas Jefferson. And if these be irresponsible tactics, God give us 50,000 irresponsible school teachers. We're afraid of the unknown. Everyone is. Will it work? Will we stand together? Will I stand? Do I have that peculiar kind of fear that they call courage? We're frightened of the unknown. Everyone is. Most changes that occur in this world occur by evolution. They're slow and gradual. Rare is the real moment of decision, and rare indeed is the moment of truth. And yet we are at the moment of truth now. We must decide now what our profession will be. And you are at a moment of truth now. You must decide where you'll stand. There is no middle ground. There is no neutral corner. To fail to decide is a decision in and of itself. More information won't help. More time won't help. Not in making this decision. The moment of truth is now. Where will you stand? I will stand with my profession. Somehow I will have the courage to be what I believe. I will stand. But what if I'm alone? What if I'm the only one? Will I have that much courage? What if the others don't? What if the others don't stand? Let's find out right now. Close your eyes. Close your eyes right now. Keep them closed. Now you are alone. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to stand. You will be at that moment of truth. You will be alone, and you will not know whether the others will stand. You will only know what you have decided. Your profession is at a moment of truth. You are at a moment of truth. If you will stand with your profession, come what may, stand up. Stand up now. Get out of that chair and on your feet. Stand tall. You're a school teacher. Now open your eyes. Look, you're standing all around. You're not alone. The teaching profession will never be the same again. Stay on your feet. But this feels strange. I'm a little embarrassed, a little uncomfortable. This is new. This is the unknown. I still feel alone. I'm frightened. And frightened we are, everyone. But we will take a stand. Coward, take my coward's hand. Take my hand. There, you feel that strength? We're not alone. 50,000 of us, we are not alone. And we will stand together. We will have courage, and we will be what we believe.